Good Thursday morning to you. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchers. This is your outlook for December 12th, 2013. And starting off with the GFS for today, high pressure sitting over the Ohio Valley here. And because of that, we're going to have a cold wind here coming out of the west-northwest. And temperatures not getting out of the mid to upper 20s in many locations here. So it'll definitely feel very cold, much like yesterday, maybe a few degrees colder than yesterday, actually. But we're not expecting anything in the way of precipitation today or on Friday as we move ahead a little bit here. Big story is going to be our system coming in on the weekend. Now, the GFS and the Canadian model, the European model, they're all pretty much the same idea here with the system. And the new NAM's coming in. It's now starting to get a better grip on things since it's getting a little bit closer and it's towards its effective range. It's still a little bit out of range yet, but all the models are pretty much handling the system at least a lot closer than they were before. And that's the whole idea here is you have an area of low pressure that's going to be moving up to the Ohio Valley, and it's going to move up towards the vicinity of Pittsburgh, somewhere about here, and it's going to transfer its energy to a coastal system right about here. Okay, and then this one eventually will take over as the primary and move northeast and away from our area. But starting to see signs that the coastal will have less influence on our weather. The GFS is still keeping a little bit of that around where it does transfer the coastal a little bit sooner, and then the coastal, because it does take over, actually wraps some warm air into the system here, into our coverage area, and changes some of the snow that we're expecting to fall over to ice. So a little bit different solutions here I'm going to show you here. Here's the GFS here for Saturday afternoon. You got moderate snow breaking out across much of Pennsylvania here. Some lighter snow still down here by Philadelphia, but these are high ratio snows, and we talked about that before, about what that means. High ratio snows just basically mean that instead of the normal default 10-to-1 ratio that we get on a snowfall, which is 10 inches of snow for every inch of rain, ratios are expected in this storm to be 15 to 20 to 1, at least at the start of the event, which means you have a lot fluffier snow, not that heavy wet snow to shovel, but it does pile up faster. So if you get maybe only a tenth of an inch of liquid, that would actually be an inch and a half of snow instead of the normal inch. See where I'm going with this? So that's basically what we're talking about here. So it doesn't have to snow a whole lot here in order for this to pile up pretty quickly, but we do think it is going to come down pretty good here. As we go through the later, especially later Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening are going to be probably the heaviest times of this snow, and then up until about midnight or so. Now here's 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. Here's the GFS is doing. You see, here's the primary low we said was going to hit over Pittsburgh. It's now dissipating. New low pressure is taking over here offshore. But you see what it's doing here, because this low is starting to wrap up here. It's throwing warm air back in here at the mid-levels. Not at the lower levels. We're still going to be below freezing in these areas here, but because of that, it's bringing sleet freezing rain all the way up into the Poconos here, all the way up to Scranton. And I really don't think this is going to end up happening. I think the cold air is actually going to end up winning out, and this coastal will have less influence, and much of the snow that we're going to get is going to be just from the front end thump that we get. But because of the high ratios, you can get some pretty decent amounts. Heading over to the snowfall map and from the GFS, and even with that changeover, you're still talking about some pretty significant snowfall here. Now, this doesn't look like a lot on here, but this model assumes that it assumes a 10-to-1 ratio. Again, I said we're going to be at about a 15, probably average about 15 for the storm. Might start off a little bit higher than that, but as the coastal gets going, it'll start making its way back down towards 10. However, these amounts that are putting out verbatim across, especially northeast PA and east central PA, northern New Jersey, up in these areas, are all in the 4 to 6 inch range. So if you multiply that by 1.5, you're talking more like 6 to 8. So I'm not saying we're getting that, but I'm just kind of giving an idea of what we could be dealing with, and that the models are underestimating that because of that default ratio they use. Here's the Canadian model. Now, this is the most amped model. I wanted to show you this because the new Euro didn't come out yet at the time I recorded the video here. But this is the new Canadian model. You can find this on our website. This is on our model analysis page, our free model analysis page on the website. This is the Canadian run here from the newest run. And this is showing actually Saturday morning. But then as we get closer to noon, 1 o'clock, you see the moderate, and this dark blue is the heavy snow And as you just keep going over time here, these are hour by hour increments, and this is several hours here of some moderate to heavy snow moving through. But the Canadian model does have this moving out late evening, so it's not going to be hanging around all night long. Is moving out a little bit faster, which would make sense because we're still in a progressive upper air pattern, that this would move pretty fast. But you can get a pretty good thump here from especially on the eastern half of the state of PA here. And into northern New Jersey, I think. You see where the rain snow line is here. It changes over to rain, gets right to Philadelphia. It looks like it's I-95 is a dividing line here. So anything from South Jersey, Delaware, probably going to be over to rain either way. And most models are showing that idea. And then actually the Canadian has this low pressure a little bit too close to the coast here, so it actually creeps up the rainfall all the way up to the northwest suburbs of Philadelphia. But never gets it. It never goes over to. It stays all snow. It never goes to any other precipitation type from Allentown and points north and northeast. So it's still a pretty good hit in this area. So the Canadian is probably the most aggressive model as it has trended with both higher quantitative precipitation and has gotten colder over the last couple of runs. So those are the things we're going to look at over the next couple, the next day or so, and then we're going to have our first call map we're expecting out on Thursday evening, which at this point I think we would go pretty aggressive with. I know the TV stations aren't going really aggressive with it right just yet, but we're probably going to go pretty aggressive with what we're looking at right now, unless something drastically changes between now and this evening. But that's what we're looking at right now, and you can continue to follow the Facebook page for rapid updates. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchers, and that is your outlook for December 12, 2013. Have a great Thursday.